back to CloudFront. So you can take a lucky guess where we can implement some of that error page dancing that we have with CloudFront. It's in this one called Error Pages. This is kind of cool because we get a lot more options than we had previously. So here we can choose a whole bevy of different error codes and what we want to do in given cases, right? How long do you want to cache that for, and do you want to customize the error response? Well, we do. Do 404 not found. You can redirect them basically anywhere in this case and choose your status code. So before, if you remember, when we went to S3, we'd give them the page, but we'd count it as a 404. And then I told you, like, first we're going to treat everything as a 404, and then second we're going to treat nothing as a 404, and then eventually we'll treat only things that should be 404s as 404s. We're on the second phase of our journey together. We're going to break the web in a different way. And I want to be real clear. This is how a lot of sites do it. And the solution that we're eventually going to get to, so I'm going to set that to index.html, which is going to serve my JavaScript, let whatever client-side routing take care of stuff. I'm going to say that's OK. And this is what a lot of client-side applications do. And the solution that we'll eventually end up in is me and one of my coworkers got into a fight because he's like, you're breaking the web. You should use that. Remember that thing that we used to do like 5, 6 years ago where for client-side routes it was a hashtag and then the rest of the route? Like Twitter had it for a while. He's like, we should use hash routes everywhere. And I, as a person with dignity, said I'm not doing that. And then we went at it for like 3 hours on our Friday night. And we eventually get to the final solution. So that's a fun story. And, oh, this one needs the slash. The last one, the default root object, no slash. Response page path needs a slash. I would love to tell you eventually you remember all these things, but clearly, as you saw, I did not.
Quick question about disabling the static website hosting.
Mm-hmm.
Do we also want to disable it for the www bucket?
That one just redirects. It should, yeah.
So it doesn't matter either way.
I don't think so. Let's find out.
Okay.
I also think that the www is now going directly to CloudFront.
Sure.
Right, so that bucket now is useful in some cases, right? Like, there's no necessity that you have to use S3 if you use CloudFront. There's no necessity that you have to use CloudFront if you use S3. So some of these things, like, if you use the whole solution, you might slice and dice it in slightly different ways. But I'm pretty sure our www is also good to go. And it's also secured. One thing to note is there was a minute there earlier where I was not getting redirected from HTTP to HTTPS. That was simply DNS catching up. I opened it in Chrome that didn't have the same DNS cache. It was fine. The browser just was confused that we're wildly changing our deployment structures in our time together. Awesome. So we've got that in place. All right, and so we should have our client-side routes. Let's just verify that as well. Nope, but that one's unclear if that's because it hasn't deployed yet or not. So we'll go check that one again in a second and find out, did we mess up or do things just take a while? So if I go to my distributions, it's still deploying. So we cannot confirm that we have messed anything up yet. But we'll go just check to make sure. Error pages, I've got the 404s going to index.html with a 200. I'm going to assume it's just deploying at this exact moment. So one of the things I promised you was I was going to look into why my client-side routes weren't working. And it's almost as if I can't read, which is, if we look at the error says access denied. Now, I'm using Safari in this case just to keep the account simple. But we all know that 404 is not access denied. 404 is not found. 403 is access denied. And I have only dealt with the edge case of a 404. So everything works. It's the human that's problematic. So we can go ahead and fix that real quick. But we've got the 404. I'm going to keep that one because that's still a fair error response. But we'll create another custom one. like in my notes is like, also make one for a 403. I was like, I don't need to do that. Cool. Oh, we need to give it that page path as well. We'll send them over to, this one has to have the slash, remember? The saving grace is once you get this all set up, you mostly leave it forever. So that makes you feel better. All right, so now if we look, we're deploying it again, but I'm gonna, okay, there's no reason. We'll check on it a little bit. We'll put it back in the oven. I was suspicious that going that quickly with the error response was gonna work, but we'll find out together.